Now, I just want you to note the complete and utter disconnect from reality. Utter disconnect from reality. Last night, as Iran was firing its obviously pre-coordinated strike on Al Udeid Air Base, reported by everyone, coordinated, a vanity project in an attempt to prop up the Ayatollahs, Tucker Carlson took to the airwaves to lament the great tragedy that was befalling Qatar. And notice the hand-wringing. Notice the sackcloth and ashes. Notice the hand to the heart here. Notice the deep and abiding pain he feels, apparently at missiles that didn't hit Qatar. And notice that he did not express any of that same pain, I noticed on this broadcast, about a jihadi suicide bomber killing 20 Christians at an Orthodox church in Syria the same day, or any of that same sympathy for the victims of October 7th. It's just sort of fascinating. He also, by the way, says that Qatar only put Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar out of the goodness of their heart. They're just that nice. They're just that kind. Here is Tucker's response to what was effectively just the final gasp of Iran before the end of the war.
It's so distressing. It's so distressing.
Who could have seen this coming? I know. Who could have seen it coming?
Well, I'll just say, I just want to say it should go without saying, but I mean, I'm praying for the success of, whatever America does, because I'm praying for America, but I'm concerned, and I hope that people who have audiences will be responsible and just remember, like, life is short. You're going to have to give an account. Like, try to be honest, try to be humane, try to care about other people. I don't know.
People should be honest, you see, and humane, and care about other people. And because clearly that's Tucker Carlson. So honest, so humane. All leaders kill people. All leaders kill people. So honest, so humane, so truthful with his audience. I'm just going to read to you a few of Tucker Carlson's tweets about what he said would happen. Not once, but over and over and over again. What he said would happen. Quote, "It's worth pointing out, a strike on the Iranian nuclear sites will almost certainly result in thousands of American deaths at bases throughout the Middle East and cost the United States tens of billions of dollars. The cost of future acts of terrorism on American soil may be even higher. Those aren't guesses. Those are the Pentagon's own estimates. A bombing campaign against Iran will set off a war, and it will be America's war. Don't let the propagandists lie to you." Tucker Carlson, March 17th, 2025. Or how about this one? Quote, "Whatever you think of tariffs, it's clear that now is the worst possible time for the United States to participate in a military strike on Iran. We can't afford it. Thousands of Americans would die. We'd lose the war that follows. Nothing would be more destructive to our country. And yet we're closer than ever thanks to unrelenting pressure from neocons." Because obviously President Trump is the neocon. He's the one who made the call. "This is suicidal. Anyone advocating for conflict with Iran is not an ally of the United States, but an enemy. So anyone advocating for a strike on the Iranian nuclear facilities or for just getting out of the way and letting Israel do it is an enemy of the United States, according to Tucker Carlson. April 7th, 2025. Tucker Carlson, June 5th, 2025. Quote, "Mark Levin was at the White House today lobbying for war with Iran. To be clear, Levin has no plans to fight in this or any other war. He's demanding that American troops do it. We need to stop Iran from building nuclear weapons. He and like-minded ideologues in Washington are now arguing. They're just weeks away. If this sounds familiar, it's because the same people have been making the same claim since at least the 1990s. It's a lie. In fact, there is zero credible intelligence that suggests Iran is anywhere near building a bomb or has plans to. None." Okay, he said this the same week that the IAEI came out and said that actually they're violating all of their nuclear obligations. "Anyone who claims otherwise is ignorant or dishonest." I assume he means the president of the United States. "If the U.S. government knew Iran was weeks from possessing a nuclear weapon, we'd be at war already. Iran knows this, which is why they aren't building one. Iran also knows it's unwise to give up its weapons programs entirely. Well, do they have one or not? Muammar Gaddafi tried that and wound up sodomized with a bayonet. As soon as Gaddafi disarmed, NATO killed him. Iran's leaders saw that happen. They learned the obvious lesson. So first of all, NATO didn't kill him. Members of the Libyan population killed him. I opposed the NATO action against Gaddafi, for the record." And so, here is where he goes with this. Quote, "It goes without saying, there are very few Trump voters who'd support a regime change war in Iran. Donald Trump has argued loudly against reckless lunacy like this. Trump ran for president as a peace candidate. That's what made him different from a conventional Republican. It's why he won. A war with Iran would amount to a profound betrayal of his supporters. It would end his presidency." Okay, Tucker Carlson saying that Donald Trump if he decided on an airstrike on the Iranian nuclear facilities, that would amount to a profound betrayal of his supporters and would end his presidency. That may explain why so many of Trump's enemies are advocating for it. And then there's the question of the war itself, says Tucker Carlson. Iran may not have nukes, but it has a fearsome arsenal of ballistic missiles, many of which are aimed at U.S. military installations in the Gulf, as well as at our allies and at critical energy infrastructure. The first week of a war with Iran could easily kill thousands of Americans. It could also collapse our economy, as surging oil prices trigger unmanageable inflation. Consider the effects of $30 gasoline. Okay, I'm just going to say that today, the average price of gas in the United States is $3.22. It is actually down slightly from where it has been. So has a word of this come true? Even close? No, but don't worry, there's more. The second week of the war could be even worse. Wait, that would have been this week, the second week of the war. Iran isn't Iraq or Libya or even North Korea. While it's often described as a rogue state, Iran has powerful allies. It's now a part of a global bloc called BRICS, which represents the majority of the world's landmass, population, economy, and military power. Okay, so just to point out, BRICS is an economic alliance. It is not a military alliance. And his idea, apparently, is that Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, among others, would have come to the defense of Iran. This is what he was saying. I pointed it out weeks ago when he said it. Quote, Iran has extensive military ties with Russia. It sells the overwhelming majority of its oil exports to China. Iran isn't alone. An attack on Iran could very easily become a world war. We'd lose. Did you notice all the losing? I didn't either, because we didn't. Because this is not the world of reality. And by the way, it is obviously a rip against the president of the United States who decided that he was not going to follow in the footsteps of this complete and utter tomfoolery. And then he says, the one thing that people like Mark Levin don't want is a peaceful solution to the problem of Iran, despite the obvious benefits to the United States. They denounce anyone who advocates for a deal as a traitor and a bigot. They'll say or do whatever it takes. They have no limits. These are scary people. Okay, that was Tucker Carlson, June 5th. Did any of that remotely come true? Don't worry, there's more. Quote, the real divide isn't between people who support Israel and people who support Iran or the Palestinians. The real divide is between those who casually encourage violence and those who seek to prevent it, between warmongers and peacemakers. Who are the warmongers? They would include anyone who's calling Donald Trump today to demand airstrikes and other direct U.S. military involvement in a war with Iran. So apparently you're a warmonger if you did what President Trump did, or if you encouraged him to do the thing that he did. Not full-scale nation building, not full-scale Iraq-style invasion, not any of that. If you told President Trump, or if you said that President Trump should do the thing that he did, again, the bravest action I've seen from a president of the United States, and the most successful foreign policy move of my lifetime. If you said that, according to Tucker Carlson, you hated the United States, you were actually an enemy of the American people. Now, as I said yesterday on the program, there are reasons you could theoretically steel man for opposing President Trump's strikes. Maybe there are some thorough constitutionalists who just want all American foreign policy action approved by Congress. Sure, fine. They're wrong on this score in terms of their interpretation of Article 2 power, but fine. Maybe there are some people who were truly pragmatically worried about a replay of the Iraq War. I think it's unbelievably dumb. I don't see any indicators that an Iraq war was on the horizon or that President Trump, of all humans who campaigned against the Iraq war, was going to enter America into one. But then there's a third group that I mentioned yesterday. People for whom intervention against the Iranian nuclear facilities was itself a supposed betrayal of MAGA. In other words, they would rather Iran have gone nuclear than that America fly a B-2 sortie at exorbitantly low risk to take out Fordo. People who declared that it was a betrayal of MAGA to do this, like Tucker Carlson. Now, all those people seem very surprised by the outcome of the 12-day war. I'm not accusing these people of being in the pay of foreign powers. I think they're promoting ideological poison all on their own. And whether these folks slather a layer of pseudo-patriotic paint on top of their neo-isolationist, Howard Zinn, blame America trash, that's irrelevant. If the guest list for your program looks like the reading list from the Democratic Socialists of America or National Students for Justice in Palestine, that's because you agree with them. And everybody should know that you agree with them. Just say it, because you do. America is a free country, thank God. Everybody's allowed to say what they want, and you're allowed to consume it if you choose. Even RuPaul has an audience.